And welcome to Salt Lake City. Welcome to Utah. My name is Val Oveson. I'm the CIO of the state of Utah, and on behalf of Governor Leavitt and the administration in Utah, we're very happy that you're here and hope that you have a wonderful and enjoyable conference. Just a word about Utah. You obviously know that we're the host site of the 2002 Winter Olympics. Had a wonderful, successful event there, and Utah is a very interestingly diverse state. We've got the canyonlands in the south and a lot of beautiful red rock desert country, and we have some gorgeous mountains scattered up and down the state. You happen to be within a 50-mile radius of some of the most beautiful mountains that we have, that some of them displayed here on the slides. I hope that you'll have the time, if not now, sometime in the future, to come and play in Utah. It's a great place to play and a great place to work. This is probably the most connected conference room I have ever seen, and I'm enjoying the wireless network myself. And it's going to be one of the challenges, though, with this kind of a conference is all of you got your head in your email right now, and you aren't listening to a thing I'm saying. So hopefully that change when things get more important during the conference. One of the things that I hate the most is to come to a conference like this and to have somebody who doesn't know jack about what's going on with the conference tell you about all the details and all the fun stuff you're going to be dealing with and doing. I don't know Jack, but I know Jill about the conference. Good luck with your peering efforts. The exciting things going on there. Security is always a big issue for all of us, and one thing I am fond of saying about security in Utah state government these days is that we're doing an excellent job, and we're absolutely not hitting the mark. And I think that typifies the security area right now in the world in terms of what we have been doing and what we yet need to do and how quickly it's changing. And the whole world is quickly changing in the area that we're all working in. One quick story, and then I'll get on with the program. I was, in my past life, there is a trend with CIOs, by the way, that in state government and in the private sector, to hire business leaders in rather than technical leaders, and I happen to fit that category. I have some technical background in my history, but basically a government leader, and have been at private sector organizations, PricewaterhouseCoopers and KPMG in between. But in my past life, I was the lieutenant governor of Utah for 2 terms, one of those kind of guys. But I was invited to give a speech at a rural electric meeting at down in one of our beautiful little southern Utah towns many years ago during an election year, second term. And I arrived there thinking that everybody knew who I was and what I was doing in Orderville, Utah. Any of you ever been to Orderville, Utah? Boy, we've got somebody here. I'll have to be careful with this story. Anyway, my picture was in the local newspaper 2 weeks before, and 1 week before there were posters illegally tacked to telephone poles a few days before, and I arrived thinking that everybody would know who I was. Anyway, I was shaking hands and meeting people and enjoying the conversation. I saw a cowboy that was standing off to the side, big hat on, big boots on, grubby Levi's, western shirt, sour look on his face. I walked up to him and I said, "Hello, I'm Val Oveson and I'm running for lieutenant governor." He says, "Yeah." He says, "You got my vote." He says, "That guy we got in there now is no damn good." That story is a metaphor for what it's like to be a CIO in terms of the cross currents that are going on, the dynamics that are going on in this fast-changing world that we're in. I hope you have a great day, a great conference. I'm going to stay around with you and learn a little bit myself during the day. And now I'd like to turn the time over to Pete Kruckenberg, who is a senior analyst, senior program director for our Utah Educational Network, our premier network here in Utah that we at state government interface and interact with a lot, and we need to interface with a lot more in the future. But we're really proud of what they do. I'm on their board, and They're a top-notch group, and I would encourage any of you that aren't working with them or talking to them that you do so during the time that you're here. And Pete, let me turn the time over to you to get on with the conference.
Thank you. I'm Pete Kruckenberg with the Utah Education Network, and we are glad to have you in Salt Lake. I guess I've been a short-time attendee of NANOG, only since 1998, but I've gotten a lot from the community, and I'm glad that we're finally able to contribute back to the community. Your hosts today are the Utah Education Network and the University of Utah. The Utah Education Network is the statewide education and research network. We provide connectivity for all of the K through 12, as well as the higher ed institutions and libraries and government in the state of Utah and southern Idaho. And the University of Utah is our host. We actually work on their campus, and we're glad to work with them on this conference. They are our Internet 2 Abilene connector, and they've got a lot of researchers on campus who have made us aware of things beyond just the few problems that we're working on today. I'd like to thank a few people. First of all the people that you see, besides the merit people that are manning the registration desk, the T-shirt desk, and so forth, are volunteers from UEN and University of Utah. They're all taking time off from their regular jobs. Many of them have never been to NANOG and may never go again, but they were willing to support this effort, and so treat them nicely. They're trying to do a good job. I'd like to thank Rodney, even though he'll probably be embarrassed that I'm thanking him, because it's his experience in showing me what it takes to host NANOG that made me willing to do it. Otherwise, it felt somewhat intimidating. Jeff Egley, who is one of our groups, and the staff and his staff ran the wireless wide area network that is connecting us up to the university today. Jim Stewart, who is my boss, and Bill Josman, who is the director for the U of U people, have been very generous with their staff. And finally, both UEN and U of U provided a lot of equipment and tools. For some reason, I don't have an RJ45 crimper, and I had to borrow one. So, and they're running things while we get to mess around here. A little bit about the network. First of all, a word about Network Savvy Hotels. It was really great that the hotel here has hosted conferences somewhat like this before. They had wiring in place and so forth. But as many of you probably have noticed, they have a wireless network in place. We do have a couple wireless people in the back of the room. If you're having trouble getting onto the wireless network because of that, just make sure that you pick the NANOG 28 network and not the STSN network. We've got a few wireless cards that have some problems with that, so if you're having trouble, they can get you connected with a card. We are using, for our connection up to the University of Utah, an 802.11a wireless wide area network. I don't know if anybody's used this before, but we felt like this was kind of pioneer territory, and it's actually working quite well. We spent plenty of time testing it, and I hope that it's to your satisfaction. The analogy that I've used is that hosting NANOG as a network engineer is a little bit like being a housewife and having 300 Martha Stewarts come over to cook in my kitchen. So I'm a little bit sensitive. I do take it personally. I hope you find it clean and to your satisfaction. We do have Internet 2 Abilene connectivity. That's courtesy of the University of Utah. And a couple weeks ago, we turned up our native IPv6 routing to Abilene. So I don't know if this is the first time, but this is the first time that there isn't a 100 and some odd millisecond latency for IPv6. So I hope you'll use it. There is a link on the NANOG network page to get you to IPv6.org for instructions on how to set up IPv6 on your laptop. If you're running OS 10 with a recent patch level, or you're running XP, it's pretty trivial. Actually, Linux is pretty easy, too. Our transit today is via Sprint and Touch America. They're our providers, and we've got peering to 2 regional exchanges in Utah as well as 2 national exchanges. So hopefully that will provide for good connectivity back to your home networks. A word about the shirt. Merritt was very generous in letting us try something different with the shirt. I hope you like it. I see a lot of people wearing them. I hope more people will. There are extras, and you can buy some more, take some home. And with that, I just want to thank you for coming to Salt Lake, and I hope you have a good time here.
Good morning. I'm Susan Harris. Here from Merritt. This is an unplanned part of the Thank you, Sue. Now I'm going to formally begin my talk, and the way to begin is to thank Pete, which is hard to do. Pete has been absolutely spectacular about arranging engineering details, at organizing a large group of volunteers. This has just been a wonderfully smooth meeting for Merritt, for my organization. Pete, we owe you a big one. We also owe Rodney Jaffe, who's here somewhere, in back, I think. Rodney's the person who was zipping around on the Segway yesterday. Rodney's hosted us so many times that he knows exactly what Nanog needs in a hotel. He scouted out the hotel for Pete, and he's willing to do that for you if you are interested in hosting a future meeting, but not real keen on working with hotels. Please do talk with Rodney sometime during the meeting. The organization where I work and Sue Joyner works, and lots of the people in the back of the room, is Merritt Network. We've been coordinating NANOG since we started the group in 1994. We are a nonprofit based at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. I took a look at the proportions of various occupations represented at this meeting and a couple of previous meetings. Especially interesting, I was hoping, because our numbers are slightly down this time. And you see, first, when compared to Eugene, there's not much change in the ratio of commercial to non-commercial attendees. You do start to see a change in the number of, the percentage of vendors between Eugene and this meeting. Slight increase in the number of vendors, slight drop in the number of ISPs. Big other category here, because this is R&E, government, integration, all that stuff. Those categories are broken down a little bit more here. This compares Phoenix with this meeting. Again, you see slight drop in ISPs, which is something we all need to work to make sure it doesn't happen continually. Slight increase in the number of vendors, and of course more R&E here today because we're at a university. And here are the companies that brought the most people here today. Mailing list, we've grown about 500 since last fall. Joel, Jiggly, and Lucy, I look back at the archives, and I see Dave Meyer is back there too. This is the 4th year you've been doing our multicast broadcast for us. Thank you so much, and for all the coordinating that you do with Cisco and Juniper to make that happen. Is this our first native multicast broadcast? Yeah, but it is native, and we haven't always been able to achieve that. Yeah, obviously the last meeting we had at the university was also native, Eugene. Randy has made me lose my train of thought, but that's okay because the person who spoke up here is going to take over as soon as I'm done. Yes. Dwayne, it's also the fourth year. Dwayne Wessels from the Measurement Factory was first year NANOG 18, San Jose. He's taken on an increasing role as time goes on and manages a lot of our services for us here. Foundry fed us this morning as they did last fall in Eugene. Thank you so much. This kind of support is wonderful for NANOG, and you'll meet the people from NDAYS who are sponsoring our break this afternoon. Beer and Gear sponsors, here they are, and the Beer and Gear is upstairs tonight. That's a new location, and I'll tell you how to get there later. Today we have 2 tutorials at 3:30. In this room, beginning at 3:30, Barry Green and Danny McPherson will be talking about deploying sinkholes, and then around the corner, Jeff Doyle will be talking about deploying IPv6. Then we have the Beer and Gear, the best part. Then we have the boss. Barry will be continuing his wonderful security series at 7:30. And by the way, Rob Thomas is here, a name we've all seen 400 million times on the list. I've never met the fellow, but he will be participating tonight. And there's also a session on XML-based network management tools that Rob Enns is doing. Then Joe Abley hosts a key signing at 9. And these are the people besides Randy who will be moderating as we go along through the agenda. Please do ask a lot of questions. The mics are all in the center this time. We'd love to see you go up to the mic, but tell us who you are before you ask your question, please. And as we go through the agenda, the presentations will go live magically on the web. One last note, remember that this wireless network, like most wireless networks, is not secure. Do not send a clear text password over it. Instead, use some kind of application level encryption, SSH or a VPN client. And I'm done.